Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Leanna and I'm a full-time reseller. Today's video is going to be all about auctions. Finding auctions in your area, buying from auctions for your personal use or for reselling, and selling with auctions. And at the very end, I'm going to give you a sneak peek into something that we are doing in the month of August, and that is having a seller managed auction for ourselves. So stay tuned if you want that information. So we're just going to jump right in and begin. How do you find auctions in your area? It's an easy Google search. Your area plus auctions, and things should be popping up all over the place for you. If that doesn't work, you can go to highbid.com. I will link that down below. That is a website that we use to find auctions in our area. You can put in your town or your zip code, your postal code, and you can also have a parameter of miles. So like if I don't want to go more than 20 miles away from home, they only show me auctions in that area. It's a really good feature. That's it. That's all you do to find auctions. Now, to find auctions that you want to buy from will take some more time. You're going to have to visit some websites, see what the auctions have, see what their rules and regulations are, and check out when you have to pick up and when the auctions end and when they begin and all those things. That'll be on all the websites. But there are certain auction places, like I know here in town we have two that basically deal with Amazon returns, that type of thing. So they're good for some items, absolutely. But they also don't take consignment, so I can't sell from them as far as I know. But then there's some auction houses further out, not too far, like 20 minutes, and they do more estate sales. And those two can be really good to source from because you get some really cool vintage items. But they're also really good to consign your own things to sell for yourself. So you found your auction, you found an auction that you like, and you want to start bidding. So what you're going to do is you're going to have to register with the auction. I'm going to call it an auction house because I think that's the right terminology. And sometimes when you register, if you're just beginning, they might want a credit card on file. Maybe. That could be, not all the time, but it could be. But you fill out a registration form with your name, address, I think, things like that. It's very straightforward when you go in. They ask you to register to bid, and all the terms and conditions are there. You agree to it, and you're good to go. A couple of things to watch for when you look at auctions and before you even start to bid. You need to know when the auction starts and when it ends. You also need to know when pickup times are. Some auctions are, they have a lot more freedom with their times. It's sort of Monday to Friday, every day, whatever. But there are some auctions that have just one specific day that you pick up. We have one that we go to, and I believe auctions go from Tuesday to Tuesday, and pickup is Thursdays only. That's it. So you have to know that before you start bidding. Bidding, when you bid, it is binding. That means if you get the highest bid, you have to buy that. It's the way it goes. And if you find that you can't pick an item up, that's not going to be a good thing. So just double check your schedules and when they want you to pick it up, and you can do it. Okay, so you're going to start bidding. You found the items, you like it. If you are lucky enough, some of auction places do have previews. You can go and actually look at the items in person. Sometimes no, sometimes it's just online. Look at all the photos. Make sure you zoom in and look, because most auction places, the sales are final. Unless there's something that they did not disclose, their sales are final. So make sure you want to bid on what you're bidding on. Then you can start bidding. This is the fun part. Bidding is binding, like I said, but most auction places have a feature where you can put your highest bid in, and then they will sort of bid for you, or the program will bid for you up to that amount. This is a really good feature. I use it all the time because I get caught up in bidding wars. You get down to that last couple of seconds and it's like, oh, I can bid another $1, I can bid another couple of dollars, it'll be fine. And you go back and forth, and soon you've spent way too much on an item. So I recommend putting in your highest bid when you have calm, cool, and collected, and you have time, and you can research the items, and you can actually make a really good decision about how much you want to spend. That being said, auctions come with a buyer's premium. So not only are you going to pay the price you bid on the item and any applicable taxes for wherever you live, you're going to pay a buyer's premium. That's just a little extra fee that auction places tack on to the end. That's how they make their money. Now, some of the auction places, I'm going to have to do this, that we go to, they have a 10% buyer's premium, some are 13, 15, 17%. That is in your terms and condition. Look at that, make sure that you're bidding accordingly, and you remember that you're going to be spending a little bit more. Okay, last thing about bidding and buying things, they usually have a thing called soft close. And all that is each item has a time when it will start to close. I don't know exactly the timing, whether it starts closing at like a minute or 3 minutes before the actual time. Like, so if something is scheduled to end at 8 p.m., it's going to start to close at 7:57 or 7:58. And what happens is it starts blinking, is what happens. And a lot of people will rush in and do their bidding then. Every time a new bid comes in, more time is added to the end time. But it's all up there. It's very easy to see. This is where the bidding wars take place. But it's like 3 minutes, it's done, and that's what a soft close is. That's all it is. It's not like if you're in a real auction and with people and you put your paddles up and the guy has a gavel. It's not like that. Okay, so that's about buying. Look at your items in pictures in person if you can, but make sure you do look at the photos and read the descriptions and know what you're bidding on. Know that bids are binding, and don't be a deadbeat. Pay for your items. Make sure that the pickup time works for you before you even start to bid. That's about it. I mean, it's super easy, and it can be a lot of fun, and you can get some really fantastic items. So, what if you want to sell using an auction house? Okay, not all auctions take consignment. Know that. You'll have to find one that does. And that will be on their websites. They could say, you know, it might be buying, it might be selling. It will be there on their websites. When you want to take some things to an auction house, they normally will have certain days that they do that. And usually it's not on a pickup day because it can get really busy. But they have certain days, they have rules about when you can come. You might even have to make an appointment. They also will pick and choose what they want to put on the auction. So you may bring a whole bunch of things and they might only take 10 of them because they want to make sure that it's quality, it's going to sell, and that it actually goes with the theme of the auction as well sometimes. So know that. If they take your items, they will hopefully have a little contract for you to sign. It tells you about their fees and exactly what, you know, if something doesn't sell, how much time you have to come and pick it up, things like that. Premiums, or I'm going to say seller fees, usually are in around the 30% mark for the auctions. That's what they take. So again, if I sell something for $10, that was the last bid, they're going to automatically take $3. That is how they make their money. And they do all the storing, they deal with all the money, they deal with all the pickup and all of that. So to just find an auction that you're comfortable with, I would say make sure that they do give you a contract and everything is spelled out, that you know exactly how much you're going to end up paying them and what their rules and regulations for picking up and dropping off are. We have found a couple of here in our area that we love dealing with, and we've had some really good luck with selling items that way, especially the bigger items, because sometimes, you know, you find an item and you know it's like, oh, that would sell. I know that would sell. For instance, today at the thrift store, and Paul wouldn't let me buy it because it was almost as tall as me, was a dollhouse. Oh my gosh. I mean, it wasn't, you know, vintage or antique or anything like that, but it was tall, it was big, it had an elevator, it was so cool. But there's no way I would sell that on eBay. It would be impossible to pack. But if it was cheap, it was $50, so I wouldn't have bought it to resell. But if it was cheaper, that would have been maybe a really good thing to take to an auction and have them sell it. Just saying. Anyway, so sometimes it's really good for those kinds of items. So we talked about finding, buying, and selling. So the last part I want to talk about. There is a company, there might be a different company where you are, but it's called Maxsold. And you can have these people, they can come in and do an auction for you, which is a lot more expensive, just so you know. Or you could have what's called a seller managed auction. You upload photos to their website, they advertise the sale, they deal with all the money, so they take payments and do whatever. Not all, but what you do is you pick what you want to put in the auction, so you have total control over what is going up. You also have control over the photos and the descriptions. If you get them to manage it, you cannot be guaranteed that the photos are going to be the way you like them, or the descriptions are going to be 100% accurate, or maybe they aren't using the right keywords or whatever. But you have control of the photos and the descriptions, and you don't worry about, watching the auction. They do all of that. You schedule the days that you want it to start, the days you want it to end. Then you actually pick your pickup date. You have to deal with pickups. So for me, that was my I kind of held back because I didn't want people coming to the house. It's not something I'm comfortable with. We decided that we would have pickup at our office space. We'll have a pickup on like a Sunday or a Saturday, and that way we can be in the office. It's a little easier to get to. People can come up and down the elevator. Nobody really is going to be in the building on a weekend, and that will work really well for us. So it's something that we're trying. Now, I can tell you, we're going to have our onboarding, which is, of course, it's the new buzzword. Basically, we're having a Zoom meeting with the people at Maxsold, and just to make sure that we know what we're doing and things like that. And we're going to start uploading photos of whatever items we decide we're going to sell. We're going to try and get at least 50 to 100 lots. I think that's the goal right now. Maxsold at this moment in time, their fees are $300 or 30%, whichever is more. So if you only sell $500 worth of items, you still have to pay that $300. Keep that in mind if you're going to do this. So this is something that we're definitely looking into, and we are planning for the end of August. And I will keep you updated and tell you how it went. And I'll talk about, how we listed, and I will get into the nitty-gritty of it when we actually really start. But like I said, we don't have our onboarding until I think it's like the week after next. Perfectly fine. Anyway, that is it for today. I hope that everybody has a fantastic week. And yeah, if you like this content, I can't speak anymore, people. Anyway, if you like this content, thumbs up. Thank you very much. If you are watching this video and are not subscribed, subscribe. Why not? I upload Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And that's it. I hope everybody has a great week. Bye, guys.